Hi boys and girls, I have a new book for us today called Wemberly Worried. Has anyone ever read this book before? So Wemberly Worried, I wonder, what does it mean to be worried? Let's look at the cover. I think this might be Wemberly. What does her face look like? Like she might be nervous or afraid or worried. So let's see why Wemberly is worried. This book was written by Kevin Hanks. Wemberly worried about everything. Big things. I wanted to make sure you were still here. So here she's checking in on her parents to make sure they're still in their room. You see her? She worried about little things and things in between. So Wemberly just worries all the time. She's worried that her parents aren't home. She's worried, let's see, about if she shrinks and gets really small. Wemberly worried in the morning. She worried at night. And she worried throughout the day. "You worry too much," said her mother. "When you worry, I worry," said her father. "Worry, worry, worry," said her grandmother. "Too much worry." At home, Wemberly worried about the tree in the front yard. What if it falls down? And the crack in the living room wall. What if it gets bigger and something comes out? And the noise the radiator makes. What if there's a snake inside? Wow, she really does worry about a lot of things. At the playground, Wemberly worried about the chains on the swing. They're too rusty. And the bolts on the slide, too loose. And the bars on the jungle jib, too high. And always she worried about her doll, Petal. Shouldn't Petal have a car seat too? So here she is worrying about her doll. She says, "Petal's lost forever." And her mom says, "I found her, sweetie." "Don't worry," said her mother. "Don't worry," said her father. But Wemberly worried. She worried and worried and worried. When Wemberly was especially worried, she rubbed Petal's ears. Wemberly worried that if she didn't stop worrying, Petal would have no ears left at all. Do any of you have a stuffed animal that you like to keep around with you when you're worrying, when you're maybe scared or nervous or upset? So for Wemberly, she has her stuffed, it looks like a bunny, that keeps her safe and keeps her company. On her birthday, Wemberly worried that no one would come to her party. "See," said her mother, "there was nothing to worry about. Look at all her friends that came." Isn't that nice? But then Wemberly worried that there wouldn't be enough cake. How many cake slices do you think Wemberly needs for all of these people? So now she's worried she's not going to have enough. On Halloween, Wemberly worried that there would be too many butterflies in the neighborhood parade. See her costume? She's dressed up as a butterfly. She's worried that someone else is going to have a butterfly costume. "See," said her father, "there was nothing to worry about." But then Wemberly worried because she was the only one. "You worry too much," said her mother. "When you worry, I worry," said her father. "Worry, worry, worry, too much worry," said her grandmother. Soon, Wemberly had a new worry: school. Wemberly worried about the start of school more than anything she had ever worried about before. What about you guys? Were you worried about coming to school? Were you worried about preschool? What about kindergarten? Are you guys worried at all about going to kindergarten in September? By the time the first day arrived, Wemberly had a long list of worries. Here are all the things Wemberly is worried about. What if no one else has spots? What if no one else wears stripes? What if no one else brings a doll? What if the teacher is mean? What if the room smells bad? What if they make fun of my name? What if I can't find the bathroom? What if I hate the snack? What if I have to cry? That's a lot of things she's worried about. Don't worry, said her mother. Don't worry, said her father. But Wemberly worried. She worried and worried and worried. She worried all the way there. Have fun, says her grandmother. It doesn't look like Wemberly's having too much fun, does it? While Wemberly's parents talked to the teacher, Mrs. Peachum, Wemberly looked around the room. Then Mrs. Peachum said, Wemberly, there was someone I think you should meet. Her name is Jewel. She was standing by herself. She was wearing stripes. She was holding a doll. Can you guys find Jewel? She's right over here. So Jewel also has a stuffed doll and is wearing stripes, just like Wemberly. At first, Wemberly and Jewel just peeked at each other. So they just kind of looked at each other. This is Petal, said Wemberly. This is Niblet, said Jewel. Petal waved. Niblet waved. Hi, said Petal. Hi, said Niblet. I rub her ears, said Wemberly. I rub her nose, said Jewel. Throughout the morning, Wemberly and Jewel sat side by side and played together whenever they could. Petal and Niblet sat side by side too. So you see the two of them over here. They're building blocks together. And look, their stuffed animals are sitting next to each other in the carriage. Wemberly worried, but no more than usual, and sometimes even less. How does Wemberly look here? She looks happy, right? Because she's smiling. Before Wemberly knew it, it was time to go home. Come back tomorrow, called Mrs. Peachum as the students walked out the door. Wemberly turned and smiled and waved. I will, she said. Don't worry. And that is the end of Wemberly Worried. So, what were some of the things that Wemberly worried about? Do you remember? She worried about her mom and dad disappearing. She worried about a spider coming out of a crack in the wall. She worried about going to school and making friends. And at the end of the book, what happened? Who did Wemberly meet? Do you remember her name? She met Jewel. And her and Jewel had a lot in common, right? They both were wearing stripes. They both had a stuffed animal. And they both ended up becoming friends. So just like when you guys get to kindergarten, you might feel a little worried, just like Wemberly, right? To start a new classroom with a new teacher and new friends. But you'll be okay, right? You can have new friends that you get to make, which will be a lot of fun. All right, boys and girls, this is the end of Wemberly Worried. I will upload a new book soon. All right, bye.